We often believe that growing old means growing lonely, that the later years of life are destined to be filled with silence and emptiness. But what if I told you that living alone isn't just inevitable, but can actually be a source of profound joy? Stoic philosophy doesn't teach us to chase crowds or collect superficial relationships to fill the gaps in our hearts. Instead, it guides us inward, helping us discover the strength in solitude and the beauty of deep, meaningful connections. Old age isn't the end of friendship. It's an opportunity to truly understand which bonds hold lasting value in our lives. What I'm about to share isn't theory or empty words. It's wisdom drawn from personal experience and reflection. Stay with me until the end, because somewhere within these lines, you might just find the key to unlocking peace, contentment, and lasting happiness in your own heart. Number 1. Letting go of the need for social approval. When we are young, we are often obsessed with how others perceive us. We crave recognition, admiration, and a sense of significance in social circles. But as we grow older, do we still need these things? Or is there a moment of realization when we understand that social approval is nothing more than an illusion, an invisible chain that keeps us bound to others' expectations rather than allowing us to truly listen to ourselves? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Isn't that paradoxical? We claim to love ourselves the most, yet we allow our self-worth to be dictated by the fleeting judgments of others. The truth is, the approval of society is as transient as the wind. Here one moment, gone the next. The endless pursuit of validation only exhausts us, leaving us drained and disconnected from our own inner voice. But does letting go of social approval mean embracing loneliness? Quite the opposite. It is the gateway to genuine freedom. Imagine a quiet morning, sipping tea by the window, listening to the soft chirping of birds, feeling a profound sense of peace within. No longer worrying about whether people remember us, no longer measuring our worth by likes or compliments, we finally begin to live. This kind of freedom is not just about detaching from others' expectations. It's about finding joy in life's simplest moments. The question is, how do we stop craving approval? How do we free ourselves from the constant concern of what others think? First, ask yourself, whose approval truly matters? Is it society, with its ever-changing standards? Or is it yourself, the one who must live with your choices every single day? Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If we truly wish to grow, we must be willing to be misunderstood, even ridiculed. But does that really matter? Once we stop seeking validation from the outside world, we can finally focus on what is truly important, living according to our own values. Look at the wise elders around you. They are no longer burdened by the weight of others' opinions. They have no need for applause or recognition. Instead, they live simply, finding fulfillment in their own quiet joys. They do what they love, reading, painting, walking in the park, without expecting praise or acknowledgement. And that is the greatest freedom of all. An elderly friend once told me, when I was younger, I was terrified of being forgotten. But now, I realize that the real tragedy is spending an entire life trying to please others. That thought stayed with me for a long time. Are we truly living for ourselves, or are we merely playing a role in someone else's story? If we want to live joyfully alone in old age, we must begin by letting go of the need for recognition. Instead of chasing approval, we should seek inner peace. Instead of worrying about being remembered, we should focus on making each day meaningful for ourselves. Because in the end, happiness is not found in admiration. It is found in the quiet serenity of a soul that no longer needs to be seen to know its own worth. Number 2, how our priorities shift with age. Age does not merely change our bodies, it redefines what truly matters. This is not a loss, but a purification, a chance to shed illusions and embrace life with authenticity. Have you ever looked back at the people you once thought would walk beside you forever, only to realize they've drifted away without you even noticing? This is not betrayal or failure, it is simply the way life unfolds. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." We do not have time to waste on shallow relationships or meaningless conversations. What matters now is curating the life that brings us real peace. At some point, we realize that a quiet morning, a warm cup of tea, and a good book are worth more than 100 empty social gatherings. The noise of the world fades, making space for the depth within. We no longer need to prove ourselves to anyone or hold on to relationships just to fill a void. Instead, we find joy in simplicity, a walk in nature, an afternoon basking in the sunlight, a heart open to accepting itself. Take a moment to reflect on where your time is going. Are you clinging to relationships that have lost meaning, simply because you fear emptiness? Are you spending energy on things that no longer matter? If so, it's time for a change. Let go with courage. This is not selfishness or indifference. It is the act of honoring what truly deserves a place in the time you have left. In truth, many people feel empty in old age not because they lack companionship, but because they have never learned to enjoy their own company. Try sitting still, listening to your thoughts, and observing the world without rushing to judge it. You might discover that you are not truly alone. You just haven't yet learned to befriend yourself. Allow yourself to embrace change. Do the things you've always put off. Write a journal, paint, play an instrument, or simply sit in stillness and feel your own existence. Don't let anyone tell you that happiness is only found in the presence of others. Seneca once wrote, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich." The shift in priorities that comes with age is not a sign of decline, but an opportunity to live more honestly and deeply. When you let go of the need to chase outdated societal standards, you will find a new kind of freedom. And in that freedom, you will discover a joy that is pure, not derived from others, but from within yourself. True freedom comes when we no longer feel bound by external expectations. But that freedom is only complete when we are strong enough to stand alone, without relying on anyone else for validation or security. Strength does not come from numbers. It comes from within, from our ability to be independent, self-sufficient, and at peace with ourselves. So how do we cultivate this inner strength? Let's continue the journey of discovery. Number 3, the strength found in self-reliance. Self-reliance in old age is not a tragedy of solitude. It is a precious gift, one that not everyone knows how to cherish. While many spend their days searching for companionship, clinging to relationships that inevitably fade with time, those who understand the value of independence see a different path, a path of inner strength, of true freedom. Epictetus once said, No man is free who is not master of himself. To be truly free, we must first master ourselves, finding fulfillment not in dependence on others, but within. Yet self-mastery is not about isolation or rejecting relationships. It is about standing firm, even when no one else is around. Imagine a quiet morning. You wake up with no missed calls, no unread messages. You brew yourself a cup of tea, open the window, and let the first rays of sunlight seep into your room. At that moment, do you feel empty? Or can you smile, knowing that each day is an opportunity to embrace your own presence? Self-reliance allows us to stop seeking happiness from others and start creating it from life's simplest pleasures. But achieving this state takes practice. Independence is not about cutting oneself off. It is about building a life we genuinely love, regardless of who is or isn't by our side. A retired man might start an art project. A woman might learn to play the piano. An elderly person might cultivate a small garden in their backyard. When we have something to do, something to enjoy, we no longer rely on others to fill the empty hours. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Contentment is not about the number of friends we have, but about how we perceive life. If we see a day without visitors as a lonely day, we will feel truly alone. But if we see it as an opportunity for peace, to read a book, to take a walk in the park and feel each step beneath us, then we will never feel empty. Self-reliance does not mean needing no one. It means not needing someone to feel whole. When we learn to enjoy our own company, our relationships become more genuine, because we no longer seek others to fill a void, but to share in our fullness. So ask yourself, if today you were completely alone, what would you do to make it meaningful? If you don't have an answer yet, perhaps it's time to find one, not in someone else, but within yourself. If this message has resonated with you, if it has helped you see self-reliance in a more positive light, leave a sign, perhaps a like, to let me know that this thought has reached you. And if you want to continue exploring simple yet powerful ways to enjoy life alone with joy and purpose, hit subscribe now. The journey to inner peace and strength begins with small steps, and I will be here to walk with you every step of the way. Number 4. Embracing solitude as a path to growth. Growing old is not an ending, it is a transformation. In this stage of life, we inevitably face a profound truth. Friends drift away, family dynamics change, and the world continues to move forward without waiting for us. Loneliness can arrive like a cold wind, but if we look deeper, we see that it is also an opportunity, an invitation to grow, to rediscover ourselves, and to live with a freedom we may have never known before. Seneca once said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." If we see solitude as misfortune, it will become a burden. But if we embrace it as a journey inward, as a chance to cultivate wisdom and inner strength, it transforms into a source of power. People fear solitude because they do not know what to do with it. Yet, the wise are never truly alone, for they have themselves as a constant companion. Consider the great minds of history. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, spent much of his life in solitary reflection amidst the chaos of war and politics. Epictetus, once a slave with a crippled leg, found complete freedom within his own mind, proving that solitude does not equate to imprisonment. Even Seneca, an advisor to Emperor Nero, chose the stillness of philosophy over the storms of political ambition. These individuals understood that solitude was not a punishment, but a gateway to profound self-discovery. So how can we turn solitude from an enemy into a teacher? First, we must learn to enjoy time alone rather than fear it. The modern world has conditioned us to constant distractions, glowing screens, superficial conversations, fleeting interactions. But when we sit in silence, we realize that it is not as terrifying as we thought. Read a book that stirs your soul, write down your reflections, or simply sit on your porch and watch the sun set. These seemingly small acts open vast landscapes within the mind. Second, invest time in learning and self-improvement. You are never too old to explore something new. I once heard of a man who picked up the violin at 75, and by 80 he was playing Bach with pure joy. A woman in her 70s started painting, and her work was later displayed in a local gallery. They did not let solitude become stagnation. They transformed it into growth. And most importantly, we must shift our perspective on life. There is no need to cling to the past, to relationships that have faded, to things we cannot control. Ask yourself, if today were your last day, would you spend it in regret and loneliness, or would you embrace it fully? Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When we stop craving what is beyond our reach, we realize that we already have enough. In the end, solitude is not something to escape, but something to cherish. When you sit with yourself, listen to your own thoughts, and find joy in the simple moments, you will understand that you were never truly alone. After all, within you exists an entire universe, and in that universe, you are your own most faithful companion. Number 5. Enjoying your own presence without loneliness. When we stop seeing solitude as an enemy and instead welcome it as a companion, we uncover a deeper truth. Our own presence can be a source of joy and fulfillment. No crowds, no rushed conversations, just us and the present moment, forming a world that is whole in itself. You might find this idea a bit strange or difficult to grasp, but ask yourself, what truly makes us feel lonely? Is it the absence of others or the emptiness within ourselves? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, in the mountains, but you yourself are not less capable of such retreat into your own soul." Why do we run from solitude when we can find peace within ourselves? Perhaps you've always thought that happiness only exists when shared with others. But in reality, happiness can be nurtured through a deep connection with yourself. Ask yourself this: if even you don't enjoy your own company, how can you expect others to? Enjoying your own presence doesn't mean isolating yourself from the world. It means building a strong relationship with yourself so that when you are alone, you don't feel empty. Start by talking to yourself like you would with a true friend. Write in a journal, listen to your emotions, and ask, how am I feeling today? Then, create meaningful personal experiences, a fragrant cup of tea, a favorite song, or a peaceful walk. Finally, don't hesitate to explore new things on your own, a fascinating class, an unfamiliar cafe, or even a simple new habit. When you truly connect with yourself, solitude stops being something to fear. It becomes a freedom to embrace. Self-sufficiency does not mean isolation. It is the ability to enjoy your own presence without feeling incomplete. When we are fulfilled from within, we don't seek others to fill a void. We seek them to share our joy. So, the next time you feel lonely, resist the urge to immediately seek someone to fill the space. Instead, sit down, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, can I be the friend I wish to have? If you can answer that question, you've unlocked one of life's greatest secrets: the art of enjoying your own presence without feeling lonely. And now, congratulations, you've made it halfway through this journey. What are your thoughts on what we've explored so far? If you have any questions or unique perspectives, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd love to connect with you. And don't forget, every part of this video is a piece of a larger puzzle, coming together to form a complete picture. Stay with me until the end, where you'll discover practical insights and solid strategies to fully embrace the freedom and joy of being with yourself. Number 6. Deep connections over a large circle. More friends, more happiness? Not necessarily. Have you ever felt lonely in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by conversations that skim the surface but never leave behind any warmth? At some point in life, we come to realize that what we truly need is not a vast social circle, but a few deep and meaningful connections. A genuine friendship holds more value than 100 superficial acquaintances. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." It's not about filling the void with meaningless relationships. It's about choosing those who add value to your life. When we are young, we crave excitement. We surround ourselves with people just to avoid feeling alone. But as we grow older, we realize that happiness does not come from having a long list of contacts, but from having someone who truly understands us, listens without judgment, and stands by our side when we need them the most. Ask yourself, who is always there when you truly need help? Who listens to you without criticism? And who brings you a sense of peace just by being around? If you have even one such person in your life, consider it a precious gift. True friendship is not measured by how often you meet, but by the depth of presence when it matters most. Happiness is not in the number of people around you, but in the quality of the relationships you nurture. So how do we build deep, meaningful connections? First, invest your time in the right people. Don't waste your energy on relationships that exist only for the sake of socializing. True friendship is not about constant presence, but about being there at the right moment. A real friend doesn't need to see you every day, but when you need them, they will show up. Learning to truly listen is also essential. A meaningful friendship isn't just about conversations, it's about mutual understanding. Sometimes, what we need is not someone to give us advice, but simply someone who listens without rushing to judge. A look of empathy, a gentle touch, these can speak louder than 100 empty words. Sincerity is the foundation of all lasting relationships. Don't just look for good companions, become someone that others can trust. If you want deep connections, first be a true friend yourself. And don't be afraid to let go of relationships that no longer hold meaning. Some people enter our lives like a passing breeze, and that's okay. What matters is keeping those who truly matter. Happiness isn't about having many friends, it's about having a few who truly understand you. When all the noise fades away, what remains are the genuine moments shared between people who truly care for one another. A single, sincere friendship can be one of life's greatest treasures. But take a moment to ask yourself, if life changes and old friends gradually drift away, can we still find meaningful connections? As the years go by, The way we nurture and maintain friendships must also evolve. Some relationships may fade, but that doesn't mean loneliness is inevitable. Happiness isn't just about what we once had. It's about our ability to open our hearts, embrace new experiences, and forge new bonds, even as we step into a different chapter of life. So how do we continue to find connection and meaning in the years ahead? Let's explore in the next lesson. Number 7. Creating new ways to connect in later years. Let's face it, you can't hold on to old relationships forever, but you can always create new connections, intentionally, meaningfully, and with purpose. The later years of your life are not a time to withdraw, but an opportunity to connect in ways that truly align with who you are today. Think about the fleeting yet profound conversations with a stranger in the park, the camaraderie of a yoga classmate, or the deep, lasting bond formed with an online book club. Your connections no longer have to revolve around busyness or superficial social circles. Instead, choose relationships that genuinely enrich your life. You don't need a vast network of friends. Sometimes, one heartfelt conversation, one meaningful presence, is enough to nourish the soul. Ask yourself, what excites you? You can start with a passion, an old skill you want to refine, or something you've always wanted to try but never had the chance. If you once loved painting, join an art class. If you seek to build strength and flexibility, try a light exercise group. If you enjoy writing, begin sharing your thoughts through a personal blog or a forum of like-minded individuals. It's not about how skilled you are. It's about finding a space where you can interact with those who share your interests. But don't wait for others to find you. If you feel lonely, take the initiative to step out. Volunteer for a cause, mentor younger individuals, or simply develop the habit of engaging in small conversations. Seneca once said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." Don't let loss break you. Let it fuel your desire to give kindness and reconnect with life in a new way. Perhaps you think, "I'm too old to start over." But look at those who continue learning, exploring, and connecting regardless of age. They don't live in the past. They embrace the present. A new friend doesn't have to be your age. Meaningful connections can come from anyone, a neighbor, a familiar barista, or even a pen pal from across the world. If you feel like you no longer matter to anyone, then make yourself matter. Support a community group, mentor someone younger, or simply lend a hand to a neighbor. When you give, the most genuine and natural connections will come back to you. Of course, even after doing all this, there may still be days when you feel unseen or forgotten. But instead of letting loneliness consume you, ask yourself, what can I do today to connect with the world? It could be as simple as writing a letter to an old friend, sending a kind message on social media, or adopting a pet that will greet you with unconditional love every day. Aging is not the end of friendships. It's an opportunity to connect in a different way. Deeper, more meaningful, and more authentic. Are you ready to step out and create new connections today? If you're ready to embrace meaningful relationships and make the most of your golden years, comment "Embrace New Bonds" to affirm your commitment to this new chapter of connection and fulfillment. Number 8. Why family and community matter more than ever. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Men exist for the sake of one another. We exist for each other, to learn, to share, and to grow together." And as we age, more than ever, family and community become the anchor that keeps us grounded, preventing us from drifting into meaningless loneliness. Imagine a winter morning. You wake up in a quiet house. The ticking clock reminds you that a new day has begun, but no one is waiting for you in the living room. No phone calls, no warm cup of tea shared with a friend. Independence can be a source of pride, but if we let ourselves slip into isolation, can joy still be complete? The Stoics teach us that we don't need to be surrounded by crowds, but we do need real connections with the people who matter. I once met a man who had lived alone for 20 years after his wife passed away. He was proud of his independence, proud that he never needed anybody's help. But one day, he fell in his home and lay there for hours before anyone realized. That was when he understood his so-called independence was merely a disguise for loneliness. After that, he began participating in community activities, meeting others in similar situations. And in doing so, he discovered that joy is not about how strong we appear to be, but about allowing ourselves to connect, to receive, and to give. Family and community are not just places to turn when we are weak. They are where we continue to contribute and find meaning. If you ever feel like you are no longer needed, ask yourself, is there someone out there who could benefit from my life experience? Someone who needs advice, a story, or simply someone to listen? The young can teach us about the modern world, but we can teach them about patience, compassion, and the lessons that only time can instill. So what is the practical advice? Be proactive. If you have children or grandchildren, don't hesitate to reach out, even if just for a brief call. If family is not nearby, find a community group, a book club, a meditation class, or even a local cafe where you can share a conversation each day. Don't assume that relationships must be deep to be meaningful. Sometimes a simple "good morning" can work wonders. Seneca once said, "No man can live happily who regards himself alone, who turns everything to his own advantage. Thou must live for another if thou wishest to live for thyself." We cannot find true happiness if we live only for ourselves. To live fully, we must live for others. Remember, enjoying solitude does not mean cutting off connections. It means cherishing quiet moments while still maintaining the bonds that keep us human. When old age comes, do not fear it. Embrace it as the time to cultivate the most meaningful relationships of your life. Number 9. Leaving behind a legacy of wisdom. Have you ever learned from someone? Perhaps a grandfather whose old stories carried deep wisdom. A teacher whose advice reshaped the way you see life. A wise elderly neighbor whose simple words left a profound impact. These people, even if they have long departed, have left a lasting mark on your soul. They weren't famous or powerful, yet their wisdom lives on in those they touched. And you, too, can do the same. A legacy isn't always something grand. It can be the lessons you've gathered over a lifetime, a notebook filled with insights, a letter to your children, or even a daily habit that inspires others. Some elders write books, some pen their memoirs, while others simply choose to talk to younger generations, sharing the wisdom that the years have taught them. Leaving behind a legacy of wisdom isn't just for the great, it's for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. If you have lived, experienced, and learned something, you have something worth passing on. Yet, we sometimes wonder, does anyone really care about what I have to say? The answer is yes. Maybe not the whole world, but if even one person finds meaning in what you leave behind, that is enough. A mother passing down her life lessons to her daughter. An old man teaching a young boy how to tend a garden. An elderly woman sharing with a young girl how to stay calm in a chaotic world. These are all legacies. So how can you share your wisdom? Start by writing down your thoughts, your memorable experiences, and the lessons you value most. If writing isn't for you, then speak, record, or simply talk. Leave behind stories not through elaborate words, but through the way you live each day. Even the smallest actions can be a great source of inspiration. You don't have to change the whole world, just one person. And if everyone leaves behind a piece of their wisdom, this world will become infinitely richer. Life isn't about what we keep for ourselves. It's about what we leave behind for others. When you are gone, what will remain? A closet full of clothes will be cleared out. A grand house will belong to someone else. But the advice, the lessons, the wisdom you pass on will live forever. So don't let old age be just a time of waiting. Make it the most beautiful chapter of your life, the time when you give back the most valuable things you've learned. You are never truly alone if you know how to leave something behind for the next generation. And if you haven't started yet, now is the perfect time. We've just explored 9 profound insights from Stoic philosophy on how to find joy in solitude and uncover the true essence of friendship in old age. These lessons teach us that loneliness isn't an enemy. It's an opportunity to connect deeply with ourselves and those who truly matter. Growing older doesn't mean becoming isolated. Instead, it's a time to cherish, refine, and nurture the relationships that hold the most meaning. When we learn to find joy in stillness, we realize that happiness isn't measured by the number of friends we have, but by the authenticity and understanding within each small yet lasting connection. If you found this video helpful but haven't hit the like button yet, take a few seconds to show your support. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections, so don't hesitate to leave a comment below. And if you're not sure what to write, simply comment, "Happy alone," to let me know you've stayed with me until the very end of this journey. Don't forget to share this video with your loved ones so they too can discover peace and inspiration in life. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's so much more meaningful and exciting content waiting for you ahead. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.